Hey everybody, welcome to the VIP Financial Education YouTube channel. We help you go further, faster financially. Excellent topic in a short video here for you today regarding something that I think a lot of people who get into business just simply aren't prepared enough with, and that is your operating agreement. Never very fun, but something that's extremely important to get done as early as possible and have buttoned up so that if anything were to go sideways, you are prepared. Now, for today's video, I've brought back onto the channel a crowd favorite, Abby Broyles with LegalSphereGroup.com. She has been a key partner in a lot of the participants of the Maven opportunity, which is the passive fix and flip investing that a lot of folks have been taking advantage of since this spring. If you guys are interested in the idea of passive fix and flips, check the description below. I'll put some links in there for you so that you can see exactly how that recipe has been created. It is one of the most phenomenal opportunities that I've stumbled across over the last since I've been doing the channel, quite honestly. I'm a recent participant myself by lending $100,000 towards a project that's taking place in Louisiana. Any of you guys, if you're interested in getting involved with that, you'll have to get on the waiting list because it is quite large at this point. However, it still functions as a first come, first serve. So if you get on the waiting list and a property comes available and you respond quickly, you can get involved even if you're not on the list already. Now, Abby, I want to welcome you back to the channel. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. I really wanted to pick your brain on this subject because operating agreements are absolutely crucial if things don't go perfectly, right? So can you tell us a little bit about what some of your favorite upsides are of an operating agreement and what maybe some of the downsides might be of an operating agreement?
Hey, Matthew, thanks for having me back. With LLCs, you're always going to want to form an operating agreement. It is what dictates how your company operates. So you want to think about major events that could happen in the case of a lawsuit, if you have member disputes in your LLC, or if you're trying to dissolve that LLC because you're winding it up and you want to do something else. So these are things to think about. I know when you're starting an LLC, you're like, oh, great, I'm going to invest in something new and have this entity. You always want to think about what if something goes wrong, or to use your word, something goes sideways. So those are the things that we think about. First and foremost, you want to file the operating agreement where you are organized. So if you are organizing your LLC in the state of Nevada, you're going to want to have the operating agreement according to Nevada law. So wherever you are filing your documents with that Secretary of State, that is where your operating agreement needs to have the law dictating that those 7, 8, 9 pieces of paper that you may need later on. So you want to think also about how you want to be managed. Do you want to be manager managed or member managed? There are different schools of thought on that. There are some firms out there that say you want to be manager managed because you have complete control of the company. But really, in reality, if you have a couple of members or 5 members, you dictate the terms and the voting power that they have, their capital contributions and other clauses in the agreement. So manager managed, member managed, it doesn't really matter. But if you're single member LLC, just do it manager managed, make it simple. When you have different players in your company, whether it is friends and family, you have a spouse you want to bring in, think about having a provision that creates an officer structure. So you may want to have a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasurer. These roles don't have to be recorded with the Secretary of State. So you're giving these folks apparent authority to sign documents on your LLC's behalf or to enter into conversations or negotiations, but they aren't having to expose themselves. And we're showing, hey, in our LLC, we have these 7 folks who are officers. You're able to keep that anonymous. And that's really important to a lot of people, but also keeps that apparent authority in place so that they can actually do stuff for your organization. A common mistake that we see a lot is no restrictions on transfer. And what by that, I mean, if something were to happen to you, if you or your spouse who are members of this LLC were to pass away, if there was a transfer provision for you, or maybe a friend of yours has a provision where it allows them to transfer their membership to someone else, you may end up doing business with someone you don't want to do business with. So you want to think about restricting those assignments, those transfers. So that clause is really important. We also want to make sure people are including an indemnity clause. So when you are thinking about in the potential of being sued, hopefully you aren't, but in that case, you want to make sure that you are indemnifying all the officers personally, so that they are separate from the company. So whenever attorneys look at a lawsuit, they're going to sue an LLC. They're going to try to sue everybody they can. They're going to look at every individual who's involved. They're going to name everybody in the lawsuit. At the end of the day, it's going to be the LLC that's paying those expenses, that's incurring any sort of liability that's going to have to be paid out in damages. And so you want to make sure that that clause is very specific so that everybody who's involved in your company, that they are not exposed personally. And that makes everybody feel a lot more comfortable and want to be involved in your company. So those are a handful of things. You can do a lot of this stuff online. You can go to LegalZoom or any other platform online to do this, but you don't have a lawyer kind of walking you through these things. We happen to offer this in our basic LLC formation and documentation package. So anybody who has a package with us, they're going to get a tailored operating agreement that we create, and we spend about an hour of attorney consultation with our clients to make sure that we include everything that they want to do, look at their long-term goals, who are going to be the members, and get them set up properly. So whether you go with us or someone else, this operating agreement is critical, especially in the case of a lawsuit. And that's why you want to talk to a lawyer, because we think of all the things that you may not think about to make sure that you're protected.
100%. And I've not only found your prices to be reasonable, but probably too low. I think at this point, you're, of course, introducing yourself to our audience. You're giving tremendous value for what you charge at that starting rate. And I think the fact that you offer an initial consultation at no charge, that's also unusual when it comes to legal. At least that's been my experience. I'm also somebody that has spent a great deal of money on Law Depot. I've also spent a lot of money on Legal Shield. I've tried all the shortcuts. And while some value can be had from that, in fact, I still pay for Law Depot because it gives me a baseline starting point to where I can get certain things completed and then just simply send it over to my legal for the redlining, and it kind of shaves off some of the invoicing from their side by just giving them something to work with, and they're not creating from scratch. But nonetheless, I know that you really have to have a qualified professional in your corner if you're really going to start taking your business seriously. So I really thank you for being available to our audience. I know they've all been thrilled with what they've received from you so far. Folks, if you're looking for an understanding about an operating agreement, if you really want to start to explore getting structures set up properly to make sure you're as protected as you can be, to make sure you're getting all the tax benefits that you should, reach out to Abby and her team at structure@vipfinancialeducation.com with your first name, last name, and phone number. And she or her team will reach out and set up a time for that consultation call to just answer questions, determine if you're a fit. I've mentioned before on previous videos that she and her team have been perfectly compatible with how we choose to do things on this channel, which is a no hard sale type of environment. If it isn't a good fit, they're going to be the first to steer you away. They will not be pressuring you. In fact, I used to have a structure fulfillment solution provider here on the channel that we ended up axing because I received multiple strikes regarding their hard sales tactics, and we just simply do not tolerate it here. So we're very, very happy with what you've been delivering for our group over the summer and beyond at this point. And so thank you so much for coming on and clarifying these complicated topics for us anytime we need you. I'm assuming we'll have you back on very quickly with more questions from our viewers that we think would benefit other audience members. So thank you again, Abby, for your time today. One more time, guys, that's structure@vipfinancialeducation.com. Until we see you on the next video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and make it a great day and keep on cash flowing, friends. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.